Good evening and welcome to round 20 of the Super League. Lots of action to look forward to this evening. Glorious Thursday evening it is as well. A little bit of an unusual time for us to be broadcasting, but this is where we're at the moment in terms of broadcasting schedule. We're going to try and do a midweek fixture as well as a weekend fixture. Not only will this get us to the end of the season quicker, it'll hopefully also provide some much needed talking points for during the week as we continue to evolve and to enjoy the concept of the Super League. First up this evening, let's have a look at the results from Sunday. Obviously, not that long ago, so relatively fresh in the memory of everyone. I appreciate there was a bit of a technical issue during the Ardsley Hoddesdon game, so no one had the pleasure of actually watching all four goals go in. Screenshot of Patrick Vieira in the meantime, but a good result for Hornets. The details of which have been shared, obviously. BTEC had a 1-1 draw with Churchtown. Perhaps a little bit disappointing for the league leaders, but BTEC obviously a very strong side. Just the results haven't really been reflecting that, but a fair draw in the end there. Chudley Cannons, very cool, calm and collected performance, beating Hooligans 2-0 at home. We had the Dragons and that 1-1 draw with Swindon Devils. It looked as if Dragons were actually going to cruise to a comfortable victory, but that wasn't the case. Comfortable victory, on the other hand, was something that Bolton Phoenix definitely enjoyed after Midlothian failed to turn up and failed to have a shot on target. It's a little bit disappointing for the home side, I think, to put it mildly. Disappointing for the chairman to watch the first half as well. But here's hoping for more action from Midlothian this evening. Palmerthinaikos and Astor Athletic. It was a very exciting time for those two teams going into the game. Would Palmerthinaikos hold on to the sixth place? Could Astor sneak in? The answer was that it was a 1-1 draw, which perhaps wasn't the most interesting match we've ever seen. And then finally, as a big surprise of the evening as well, was Ballon United losing at home to Somerset Sloths, who have found some form. I mean, maybe it's a little bit too little, too late, but they definitely have found some form, especially away from home, where they actually got 5 wins out of 9. So an impressive performance by the Sloths there. Moving swiftly on, we have got obviously some games tonight. We've got Astor at home to BTEC. We went through all of these at the end of the last show, I think, but maybe that was cut out. I don't know if that was lost. I can't remember if that was lost in the edit. But either way, here are the fixtures. We'll go through them in a slightly different order. We're starting off with the Hoddesdon Hornets home game. Then we're heading to Brazil for Hooligans against the Valen. We've got Astor against BTEC. Then it's going to be Sloths against Ardsley. Then we've got Swindon against Midlothian, Churchtown against Chudley, and finally the Bolton Derby of Bolton Phoenix against Palmerthinaikos. The El Boltico, I think, was that what we called it? But anyway, that's how we're going to do it tonight. All the teams have been submitted, and all the scores have been set up according to your instructions. So hopefully everything is going to go relatively well. There's obviously this new project is going to take a little bit of a quicker turnaround in terms of the managers and what they have to submit. So that's what we're going to have to live with for the time being. We'll see how it works out. As mentioned, it's initially going to be a 3-week trial, and we'll see how it works out and take that into consideration as we prepare for next season. That having been said, we are not going to Chudley. We are going to Hornets first. So let's have a look at Hornets against Dragon Destroyers. I believe that all the changes have been saved. First up, we've got Hoddesdon Hornets. They obviously had a great success last time out with a new formation. 4-0 winners at Ardsley, and Batistuta getting 3. So it'll be interesting to see if he can repeat that tonight at home against Dragons. Dragons, their away form is not really any better than their home form, so it doesn't really matter where they play. I think they've got 6 wins in total. But we'll see what they can do tonight. Obviously, we have key players such as Good Johnson in there, Etu and Mukuku. But can they form a good AMC partnership? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. Obviously, Hornets going into this tie with a lot of confidence after that 4-0 victory. With Dragons, there's some slight changes to the lineup and the formation here. We've got Palmerthinaikos dropping to the bench. Tomasi comes in there. Keane is now the sole AMC. If we look at the changes compared to to last month, not the sole AMC. He is the AMC, but Owen has dropped out, and Viduka comes in instead of him in that left-sided striker role. So we'll see if he can produce a little bit better. Other changes is those are the only changes for Dragons. Yeah, it's been a it was this time last year that I mentioned that I thought the Dragons could perhaps make a push for the playoffs. Am I convinced this season? I mean, it's far off. Yeah, it's 8 points off, and any points dropped by the sides in the bottom now are very, very difficult to recover, as teams will eventually play each other, and there will be a bunch of 6 pointers involved, so it's going to be difficult. I think for both sides, Hoddesdon Hornets on 22 if they win this one, they go on 25 if results go their way. Perhaps Dragon Destroyers, they're only 1 point behind, but that's just it's difficult to see the consistency. I had high hopes for them last season, but let's see if they can perhaps do something similar this season and go on a bit of a run here towards the end of the season. First up, we've got the first half, and Hoddesdon trying to repeat that 4-goal thrashing of Ardsley, and Batistuta perhaps getting on the score sheet again. That would be nice for them. Someone of his quality, despite his age, obviously expecting something for him. But it's Robbie Keane who's doing very well for Dragons at the moment. But there is Batistuta. You can't keep a good man down at the moment. He's definitely found his form in this three-man lineup. Keane obviously on target last week as well, I think it was for Dragons with the goal against Swindon. Prefers playing by himself, obviously tired of having Brosek next to him. Question is now, can Brosek then deliver as a striker? That still remains to be seen. Batistuta there again. He's been saving up for this all season long. I think Craig would have perhaps liked those goals to be distributed a little bit more evenly throughout the season. So that's him on 5 in the last 2, obviously. Let's have a look at halftime, how things have been going for Hoddesdon Hornets. They've been going very, very well. Martin Lawson, the only guy getting a 6 so far. But let's have a look at it in a little bit more detail. First of all, we've got the match stats. So a very dominant performance from Hornets there. 13 goals, 13 shots, 9 on target. We've got Dragons with just 5 shots and 3 on target. So by no means completely dominated and outplayed, but Hornets have definitely been the stronger side in the first half. Looking at the stats in a little bit more detail, we see Martin Lawson there on a 6. He's not had a whole lot to do. He's actually had an attempt on target, but most of the Hornets players have had, to be completely honest. The assists are shared between Stilian Petrov and Luca Toni, who doesn't really contribute much in terms of goals, but he's obviously making the assists. Maybe a downward header or something like that for Batistuta to finish. So a decent start for them. We could perhaps have a quick look at that, how the goals came about. Loose ball picked up by Keane. Petrov into Batistuta with a diving header, and then finally would be Luca Toni for the other one. Yeah, Luca Toni knocked the ball down for Batistuta as expected, and that obviously put them 2-1 ahead. In terms of Dragons' performance, not really that much to write home about. It's a little bit inconsistent. There aren't any standout performances apart from Robbie Keane, and it's not been enough for them. Very, very few passes completed as well amongst the team. Really reasonable pass completion rate in general, but not really creating anything. Robbie Keane with the 2 key passes and the assist is a bit of a one-man army. It's a shame to see that Ryan Giggs, who actually worked really well in that left wing-back position last year for Dragons, he's just not finding any kind of real form compared to last year. I mean, he had so many more assists, didn't he? And that's obviously been a problem for Dragons. Getting the ball into someone who can actually score in the centre, they've struggled. Not sure why Brosek's trying the 4 headers with Duca. I guess Hodgie says he can't jump, but you would have thought he could have maybe done a little bit more in these situations. We'll see in the second half if anything changes. If Batistuta can continue his run, a double hat trick would be nice for him, obviously. Or if Brosek and perhaps Viduka can come back. Viduka did have a bit of a comeback at the end of last season, so who knows? Hoddesdon with the first chance, Etu with an attempt there, but not seen a whole lot of him after a very impressive start to the season. I think he had, or a good start to the season anyway, for Etu, who seems to have quieted down a little bit. We've hit the hour. Keane with another chance, and there he is, Robbie Keane with yet another chance, actually bringing the Dragons up to level pegging there, 2-2. Super performance from Robbie Keane. Such an instrumental player for Dragons last year, but he's been I don't know. Ooh, and it's a penalty, and it's Guardiola who converts it. Hoddesdon Hornets throwing it all away now after that impressive 4-0 victory last week. They're completely failing to shut down the Dragons tonight, and it's Guardiola who puts them ahead. Just a few minutes to go now. Can Hoddesdon get back into this? They absolutely cannot. It's Tomasi, and that's the fourth for the Dragons. Hoddesdon score fourth away from home and concede four at home. What a turnaround for Dragon Destroyers in that second half. Obviously, the manager must have had words after the poor performance they had last week, second half against Swindon, where they kind of dropped the ball a little bit. But three valuable points picked up for Dragons here, and a very strong second half performance. Hoddesdon Hornets not bad in the second half, still managing a fair few shots, but just failing to convert any of them. In terms of where the action was, well. Hoddesdon Hornets had the most of the ball and the most of the chances, but they just kind of failed to do anything with it. Let's see how that happened in the second half. All those goals that came flying in there. Dragons obviously with three without reply after the break. Let's have a quick look. It was Robbie Keane who opened the scoring, and it was Giggs. We were talking about where those crosses were from Giggs, and there it was, the first of it, straight into Keane. And Guardiola with the penalty. Did I miss something there? Oh, it was Tomasi with the last one. Tomasi with the header again from Giggs. Where is Ryan Giggs? Where has he been? Where are all his assists? And then he makes two. Robbie Keane with an assist and two goals. Obviously, a great performance for Dragons. Now, I'm not sure what's wrong with the instructions for the strikers, but they are absolutely not firing on any of their cylinders. So really, a great performance with effectively 9 men away to Hoddesdon Hornets. Viduka and Proce completely neutralized, but the rest of the team doing very well to make up for that in terms of creating and converting chances. Tomasi 4 shots on target. He was included instead of Palmerthinaikos, and obviously the manager will be happy with his contribution. Guardiola not playing particularly well, but putting away the penalty. So. Not too much to be said about him either. Let's see where it all went wrong for Hoddesdon Hornets. Yeah, Martin Lauersen definitely not having the game of his life there, and Sebastian Frey, who's been fairly consistent, to be honest. Good solid average there, and conceding on average a goal a game. That'll be very disappointing for his manager to see that performance. So we've actually got Martin Lauersen on the right hand side, and for Dragons we've got Viduka on the left hand side. So Viduka doing his best to disrupt Martin Lauersen in his performances. Obviously, I don't know if it was just holding his hand the whole game or whatever, but that's really where the Hornets fell down this evening on Martin Lauersen and Sebastian Frey. So that takes Dragons up to 24 points, and it stays very tight at the bottom. But that's the nature of the Super League. I think it was the nature of the Super League last season, and it appears again this season that we're in this situation where no one can put that run together, no one can make that charge towards the playoffs in the second half of the season after having somehow not been at the top early on. It just continues the inconsistency, unfortunately, for those sides. But a great win for Dragons, and a great way to start the evening with 6 goals. Next up, we go to Hooligans, and let's have a quick look here. So we go to Brazil for an encounter. Hooligans against Valent United. 2 narrow formations, 2 managers who definitely stick to their guns in terms of formation. So there are no changes for Thiago's side. So Elias makes the bench, but no changes to the starting lineup after that 2-0 defeat to Chudley Cannons last week. Managers clearly got confidence in the side when it comes to their home form. We'll see if that pays off for them this evening. Kennedy still in there. Aymar, Ronaldinho. Strong players, sadly just not performing that well for their manager at the moment, which is disappointing. Which is disappointing considering the potential that side has. If we're looking at Valent United, just a couple of changes there. We've got Roy Keane coming back into midfield. Cafu is injured, so Jeremies takes his place on the right-hand side of that 3 defensive midfield line. We had poor performances from Shevchenko and Saviola last time out when they failed to score against Sloths. Something that Valent perhaps will be concerned about going into the latter part of the season and eventually into the playoffs, whether they will struggle with those kind of games again, where it's I mean, you could argue they should have won the grand final comfortably based on the amount of chances and the way the game was played, but it's all about putting those goals away, or putting those chances away rather in the games where it really counts. And for some reason Shevchenko, Saviola, they've just, I don't know, they've played well, they've scored plenty of goals, but they just have these odd games where they just completely disappear out of the picture. At the back, Lasicia and Ayala have obviously been doing a fairly brilliant job. Toldo as well, he's not the youngest, but 31 is still a prime age for a goalkeeper, and a very solid defence that Valen have. So it'll be interesting to see if Hooligans are able to break that down tonight. But let's kick this one off and see how it goes. It's the yellow and blue. It's the 1958, I believe, derby, isn't it? That we perhaps called it last time out. Let's see how it goes in the first half. Early chances for Val, and Fiore scores, and Pablo Aymar is injured. We will put on Marcelo Salas and pull Ronaldinho back in that position, and onwards and I guess upwards. We'll see if Hooligans can find a way back into it after that shock start. Fiore doesn't get many goals for Valen United, but obviously they'll take it, especially in this situation where the strikers aren't delivering, or certainly weren't delivering last time out. Then hopefully Fiore for them can be the catalyst, or if not the catalyst for more goals, then perhaps the winner. But there is Ronaldinho pulled back into that slightly more sort of laid back role at the AMC position, and he utilizes that to full effect and brings Hooligans level 1-1 at half time in a fairly even first half. In terms of chances, there's not been that much to write home about for Hooligans, but neither for Valen. I mean, 6 shots, 4 on target. They don't produce a huge amount of chances, but they have been better at converting them earlier on. Shevchenko made himself available for the pass, did he now? So who got the assist? That was Shevchenko. Found Fiore, should have scored himself maybe, I don't know, just for confidence. Either way, a couple of yellow cards there. Jeremy Santotti for some reason, yellow card for someone else, West there maybe. Lisa Rasu picked up a yellow, and then Ronaldinho just picks the ball up from outside the area, has a go. Picked up the ball and rushed back to the center circle, as you would on 34 minutes, because why not? Brilliant contribution from Ronaldinho there, and an assist for Rocky Santa Cruz. Good performance from Stephen Kloss in the goal. Terry West on a yellow could maybe be difficult in the second half if Valen tries to come up with a fight back. 69 fitness for Aymar, so perhaps not the longest of injuries. If we look at Valen United, an assist for Shevchenko, as we already spoke about that goal for Fiore. A couple of yellow cards as they had last time as well. An 8 for Totti. He's obviously doing a reasonable job, but a 6 for Saviola again. Shevchenko, although he had the assist, he's on a 7. Yeah, let's see what happens in the second half. If it's a complete turnaround in terms of chances or in terms of performance as we had in the previous game, or if the two sides will continue to keep it tight. Hooligans off to a slightly better start with the first chance of the second half. Valen firing straight back. It's very much backwards and forwards, and time is ticking on. No clear chances though to either side. Shevchenko can't miss, but somehow missed. Fiore picks up an injury with only 6 minutes to go, and we put in Stephen Reed for him in that central midfield role. Let's see how that pans out for Val in the last 5 or 6 minutes. Can he come in and make a difference? Unlucky for Totti, he did try. Santa Cruz tries something and doesn't get anything out of it. Valen comes back again, close with a save. Saviola close with a save again. Stephen Close really saving Hooligans there right at the end. Very, very active in front of goal were Valen United in those last minutes, and somehow they've managed to get, is that a champing? I guess it's a champing if you have 16 shots and the opponent has 1, and that's a bitter pill to swallow after that defeat, to not bounce back. The performance, nothing wrong with the performance, but obviously just thwarted presumably by the Hooligans keeper. Yeah, in terms of possession, it's fairly even, but in terms of where the football's actually being played, it's clearly more down in the Hooligans end. But let's have a look at how Hooligans managed to stop this. They stopped it with Stefan Klose getting a man of the match performance and a 9. He's not been super consistent, I guess. I mean, I think he had the odd game earlier in the season, but yeah, he still conceded 32 in 18, but he puts in a strong performance tonight. He gets the man of the match, some key tackles for him as well, which I guess are sort of interceptions or rushing out. Relatively good defensive performance. It's maybe just expecting a little bit more from some of the front players, but overall a solid performance. Bunch of 7s, couple of 8s, nothing spectacular, and the keeper saving them, but a point's a point. However, back to the old story of the teams in the bottom 8. You need the 3 points, unfortunately. 1 point for Hooligans puts them on 24. It's the same as the Dragons. Doesn't close the gap on any of the teams, especially Palmerthinaikos, Arsley as well. Valen, on the other hand, picks up a point. They go to 34. They still have a bit of a gap, but it's got to be a little bit concerning for the manager that the goals aren't flowing as freely as the amount of chances and the way they play the games would perhaps indicate that they could. Jens Jeremies gets a 9. Good play for him. Good game for him. Saviola only getting a 6. He's had a good start to the season. Gets okay ratings, but yeah, maybe there's a case to be made for someone else being given a go. They have Luis Saha, who's not done particularly well when he's come in, but yeah, something's got to give if Andres is going to find a way to perform a little bit better in the playoffs and actually take the trophy home this season. So it'll be interesting to see what the managers of these two sides come up with. If Hooligans can maybe get a couple of wins, maybe push on, but it's starting to be tricky for the bottom seven, I think, or sorry, bottom eight rather, to make that leap up to the playoff spots. Repeat story of last year, but either way, a 1-1. Not exactly deserved, but it's championship manager. We do have to have the odd champing. Let's see if we get a champing in the next one. We have Astor Athletic, and they're up against BTEC. I can't really remember. I think there's something about the Asta side. Oh yeah, Alf is playing with 4 strikers. He said he was going to play with 4 strikers, and he is, but they are in the familiar positions. So they aren't. They are perhaps strikers, but they're being deployed in AMC roles. So it's Nicolay and Smith that are coming in there in the AMC roles, supporting the two old guys up front, Sonny Anderson and Guilherme. I say old. They are obviously young enough to be my children in the game, probably. Let's have a look. Yes, exactly. But either way, they are slightly older than Smith and Nicolay, obviously. Alf sticking with his plan B. He's had some pretty good success lately. Perhaps a little bit disappointing for him that he didn't get all 3 points last time out in that 1-1 draw with Palmerthinaikos. But it was an away from home game, obviously. And although they haven't been that much stronger at home, they you always feel as if home games is a little bit more likely to bring you a result. And yeah, they've only conceded 7, I think, all season at home, Astra Athletic. So it's going to be a tricky one for BTEC. BTEC, as the manager mentioned, I think earlier on, are without the front three, the regular front three, or certainly the regular front three in the regular kind of like setup formation that we've seen them in earlier. So it's Danielson, Dyer, and Nakahawa leading the line for BTEC, which is interesting. Yeah, and they are up against a kind of like a wall of 5 in Astor. So the question is whether they will have enough to break them down. But they are individual talents, very good at running with the ball as well. Obviously, Dennison and Dyer coming with the front arrows to try and put that extra pressure on the two central defenders for Asta. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out for them. We've got Milevski, Proton, Contra, Emerson, Roberto. No big surprises at the back, but those front three, it'll be very, very interesting to see how they perform against Astra Athletic. BTEC obviously trying to break the 20-point barrier. Obviously with Dragons winning, that's not going to do them any favors in terms of reaching 12th place, but they definitely can do with with some points. They are down there on 18. Astra Athletic desperately need the 3 points, even more than BTEC, you could argue, because they are still in a very, very tough fight for that final playoff spot. But let's kick this one off and see how it goes with Astra Athletic at home to BTEC Troopers. Yeah, first 20 minutes, not a huge amount to talk about. A couple of chances went Asta's way in the beginning. BTEC are coming back into it a little bit. I think it was Akahawa who scored a goal for BTEC last time out. Could he be on the score sheet again tonight? Oof, that is Johan Vogel picking up a red card for Astra Athletic there, and that could obviously change things around a little bit. They are going for the 3 points, so I'm not going to make a defensive substitution for them. Obviously, we're just going to have to and BTEC are only playing with 3 attacking players, so we're going to keep it like that. Johan Vogel, obviously ex BTEC player, joined Astra and has done an exceptional job since arriving there. Gets sent off, so this could be BTEC's big chance. We'll see how the rest of the first half plays out, and we'll have a little bit look in detail of what happened with that. Wasn't a penalty, clearly. That wasn't what's happened for them. And there is Emerson with the opener for BTEC. Um, it's a long way back for Astra Athletic now, but as mentioned, they do need the 3 points. Let's have a quick look and see what here. Red card. Upended Agahawa, red card for professional foul. Considering it wasn't in the penalty area, that seems a little bit controversial, to be completely honest. It'll be interesting to see what the manager has to say about that. If that's really the case, if you can receive a red card for upending someone outside the penalty area, I mean, I guess it's possible. Yeah, a big surprise there, and very disappointing, I think, for Astra Athletic. Danielson obviously with the assist there right at the end to Emerson. Big fan of Danielson. Hope he does a lot better than than what he has been so far this season. Anyway, Astra Athletic not finding a way through at all, and it's obviously always a chance, when you try a different tactic. BTEC did it as well to Bolton. Not so much a different tactic, but quite a sort of severe change. BTEC tried it away to Bolton, and that didn't work. And Astra have tried it at home, putting in those 4 strikers instead of sticking with Brook Ing, with Rui Costa, with some of the regular names in the AMC positions, and that hasn't worked out. And obviously in the second half, it's going to be exceptionally difficult being down to 10 men. In terms of performances, it's 6s and 7s across the board. Nothing really stands out. No key passes created. Somehow BTEC have definitely turned up tonight, and they're doing a grand old job at shutting Astra out. Nothing really to say that. I mean, Smith and Nicolay, they have a lot to do with the ball, but completing passes, but they're just not that dangerous with it. If we look down the other end a little bit, I mean, is this the poor BTEC performance? I don't know. Do they not normally get higher scores? I don't know. But either way, it looks as if whatever it is they're doing in the first half, it's definitely been working. Danielson getting the assist, Agahawa playing an 8. It'll be difficult for some of those strikers to find a way back in there if Agahawa is on an 8. Emerson finally, winning some headers, scoring a goal, but he's failing miserably on tackles up against Lee Boyer. So that's got to be disappointing. But I mean, he's put them ahead, so you can't complain too much. Rio Ferdinand at the back, Alessandro Nesta. Yeah, it's a strong BTEC defense, and the question is, will they be able to hold out in the second half? Obviously, Astra will try desperately to get back and get those 3 points, but that should cause some holes at the back with the missing Johan Vogel. But let's see what happens in the second half. If BTEC can build on their lead, or if Astra can find a way back with just 10 men. I mean, they tried early on. Obviously, it looks like it, but BTEC are getting straight back at them, creating chances of their own. And there is Agahawa with his second goal in the 2 games. And with just half an hour to go, I'm not saying that that's curtains, but it's going to be very, very difficult for Astra now, being down to 10 men. Lots of hard tackling coming in from the Astra side, picking up a couple of yellows there in the second half. Boyer trying his best. Smith was in there as well, trying. They are trying, Astra, obviously, right until the very end, creating chances again. Emerson picking up a yellow, stopping Astra attack there right before the end. BTEC eventually saw it all the way home. 2-0, comfortable victory for them against the 10 men of Astra. For 75? Well, for just under an hour, Astra were down to 10, and I would almost say a dominant performance from BTEC. Obviously clouded a little bit by the red card, but still, it's a very good performance from them. And it was Danielson again with the pass, finding Agahawa in the net. 2 assists for Danielson, man of the match, and a 10. Manager will be delighted with that. He's tried so many things in terms of changes that have failed, not spectacularly, but that have failed, because they've not been a spectacular failures that BTEC have had. They've had 7-8 goals disallowed, for offside, they've had penalty claims turned down. It's been a rough ride for them, but finally a couple of changes that he makes that makes an immediate impact and brings them a result. So Ian will no doubt be delighted with that, and it's good to see Danielson actually delivering on some of his promise. Emerson perhaps back to the training ground in terms of tackling, completing 3 out of 11 tackles. That's not great, picking up a 6 and a yellow card. Milevski doing a fair bit better, and overall a strong, as we know, the BTEC performance, strong performance. It's just the results have not really gone their way in the past. If you look at Astra Athletics performance, Materazzi, Alan Smith, Nicolas, I mean, attacking is always going to be difficult down to 10 men. The formation gets even narrower with a man sent off. It's a tricky one when you're down to 10 men. especially against a side like BTEC, who are strong, who can perform, who can do really, really well. And they were already, once they're a goal up, they're 2 goals up, then difficult to see a way back in. Lehman did a pretty good job. Zanetti as well. Babel, good job defensively as well. Alan Smith, no, he did not perform particularly well. Again, plenty of passes for both him and Nicolau in the second half. Not a single key pass between them. That's got to be very disappointing for the manager. Valuable 3 points for BTEC. The top 6, especially Palmerthinaikos and RC Celtic, probably breathing a sigh of relief here. With Astra Athletic dropping points, that obviously gives them a bit more breathing space. We'll see what happens with their results later on. We've got Ardsley against Sloths coming up next, so that'll be interesting. Ardsley can then open up like a proper gap down to the teams below them, and although we still have Chudley Cannons to play, they could at best only equal the 28 of Astra at the end of the evening. So let's see how it goes as we move on this evening. As mentioned, next up we have Somerset Sloths, and they are welcoming Ardsley Celtic to the spicy knick-knack thing. Let's have a look and see how the sides line up. The ribbon saucy, not the spicy. Oh, how could I get it so wrong? Anyway, it looks as if I have made a mistake. It looks as if I have made a mistake, so do forgive me, Rob. I believe it was Landon Donovan that was meant to start. It looks as if I've picked CM legend Joao Paiva instead. So, yeah. So apologies for that. I don't really have anything else to say to that. I mean, I hope he does well. I hope he does well, Paiva. So yeah, attention to detail. Apart from that, there were no changes for the Sloth side. There was some speculation that maybe we'd see Henan Crespo in action. Clearly, that's not the case. Let's see, is he actually? Oh, he's not bad. It's not the end of the world. He hasn't played well, obviously, but he's not too bad. That's okay. I feel less guilty now. I thought it was like Neil Scally bad, but he's actually okay. So no other changes. Obviously, Sloss with that away win against Valiant United. Lots of confidence in the side. They still have a long way to go on 22 points to reach the playoffs, but it's not impossible if they can continue to string results together and to get some performances out of these players. RC Celtic changed to the Recoba, comes in. Nikiforenko is there. We've got Sauri, Donati, Stankovic, Vieira, Milito Terry. So a bit of a is it a 2-7-1? Is this what this is? I mean, it looks like it. It's obviously, if we compare with the last time out there, a complete departure for that. Again, should Recoba be playing, or have the lineups been submitted a little bit quickly? That's probably what we're all wanting to know. No, it's true. Recoba is playing. Only one mistake made by the chairman for this game, so that's fine. Yeah. Ardsley Celtic, the enigma that is Ardsley Celtic. Such a promising start to the season, and after the break at the middle, then it's been all downhill from them since then. But the question is whether they can turn it around against Sloths away from home, which hasn't been particularly bad for them. They've got 5 wins and 4 defeats, and Sloths have only won 2 at home. They're much better away side with 4 wins. So perhaps still things slightly in the favour of Ardsley Celtic. However, if you look at the form, it's probably Sloths that's gonna edge it on that. But let's have a look and see how it goes. Obviously a completely new attacking formation lineup style from Ardsley Celtic. Yeah, Hodgie's been desperate to get some more goals out of some of those strikers. I mean, there's obviously goals in the guys. There's Nikiforenko, there's Morientes, there's Tomade. There's a bunch of people basically. And here he is, Joao Paiva, selected by the chairman ahead of Landon Donovan, and he puts Somerset Sloths in the lead. Don't say I don't do you any favors, guys. Sometimes I sometimes I just stumble across these things, and I think, you know what, just for the hell of it, I'm just gonna put Joao Paiva in, and we'll see what happens. It's worked out, Rob. Don't complain, please. In terms of shots on target, I mean, Sloths are dominating. They're finding form. The players who perhaps on paper aren't the best, they're doing it for Sloths at the moment. The second half of the season in stark contrast to what Ardsley have experienced so far. Let's see how the goal came about. headed at goal. Oh, it's a rebound that he picked up and eventually fired that one in. Let's see if Duff actually got the assist for it, so fair enough. Good first half performance from Sloss. Selakovic not doing particularly well, but everyone else on sevens. There's a 9 for Damien Duff, obviously, and an 8 for Taibbi. Has he had? Oh, he's made 2 saves. That's fair enough, I guess. Solari not doing a huge amount out there, but apart from that, sort of fairly evenly spread out. Damien Duff with 3 key passes, plenty of key passes in the side, so they're definitely doing something wrong in that respect, Sloths. And and they will definitely go into they will have gone into the half-time break, the happier side of the two. RC Celtic, the guys in the new formation, it's perhaps not really working out the way that Hodgie's had been hoping it would. Patrick Vieira doing a grand job in the middle of the park there. 10 tackles, 1/6 of them. Good pass completion ratio as well. Sowery doing okay on the wing. Front 3. Recoba, Nikiforenko, and Morientes all on a 6. They have 1 shot between them, and 20 passes, a couple of tackles, and lost a bunch of headers. It's not really what you want to see as a manager. There's obviously a chance they can turn it around in the second half. We have seen some teams do that, obviously, in the past. I think Hoddesdon had a very good second half. I can say that, not that because no evidence exists and no one will be able to contradict me. Hornets had a brilliant second half, so against Arsenal. So maybe Arsenal can do what Hornets did to them against Sloth tonight, and see if they can get an equaliser, and perhaps all 3. Remains to be seen. We're kicking off the second half, and can Arsenal find a way back into it? That's the big question. Simeone somehow doing something for Sloss. I didn't see him as an attacking threat, but I guess he could be. There's Alvaro Recoba, a surprise inclusion. I actually thought I'd done it by mistake, but I won't take the credit for that one. He pulls one back for RC Celtic. Somers at Sloss still looking dangerous though, and they are completely unable to contain Paiva, who puts on a show for the ages tonight with his 2nd goal of the evening. But it's Morientes of all people, right at the death, equalising for RC Celtic. Arsenal have finally found the goal, but a masterstroke from the Rob/the chairman to put in. Wow, Paiva has proved the undoing of Arsenal in their attempt to get 3 points, but it's 1. They pick up a point away from home, and I don't know if it stops a rot, but definitely 2 goals from the attacking players should give Hodgie a little bit of hope. It was a very equal to their first half performance, the second half performance. The only difference was that they obviously converted some of those shots. Sloss will maybe be slightly disappointed considering they had the number of shots were really in their favour, but let's see what happened in the second half in terms of goals. We obviously had Paiva with the first one, Nikiforenko with the headed down ball for Recoba, who then fired in the volley. Milito nicked the ball from the toes of Solari. Okay, fair enough. But Paiva picked up the loose ball and obviously scored. And then finally, 4th official indicated the added time, and Morientes scored just out of nothing with nothing. But someone got an assist, obviously. Stankovic must have gotten the assist because Nikiforenko got the first one. Overall, solid enough performance for RC Celtic. I think Hodgie will definitely be happier with their performance this time out than last week, and perhaps happier than he has been with a lot of their recent performances. Reasonable, I think, pass completion rate, 74% is not too bad. 7s across the board, but obviously unhappy to concede 2 goals, but what can you do against such a legend? In terms of the Sloss performance, a 10 for Damien Duff. So a brilliant performance from him out there on the wing. Everyone else doing an okay job. Andres D'Alessandro, not really been that impressive overall. He's not really created a whole bunch, but he's maybe one for the future. And obviously, man of the match, Damien Duff. But you can't really. Oh, we can't see him now because we're looking as Ardsley. But Joao Paiva coming in with 2 goals with the clutch for Somerset Sloss. A very impressive, perhaps a little bit unexpected, but a performance that I'm almost as delighted with as I was when Arsenal didn't get any players injured when I'd forgotten to give him any substitutes. So a very interesting game, a great exciting finish, a couple of goals from an unexpected source, and a 2-2. Not a result that'll do either side a huge amount of favours. Obviously Arsenal still comfortably in the playoffs, and Sloss uncomfortably still in the bottom half, but a very entertaining match nonetheless. With that out of the way, we move on to Swindon Devils against Midlothian, and this could obviously be an interesting one. Let me just double check that. Okay. what's done is done. I'm sure I've put them in correctly. Swindon Devils, they've moved their AMC back into midfield. We've got Elmander in that position. Zidane is playing, Seedorf is playing, Librapoulos and Simone Inzaghi. Obviously, the manager not happy with the contribution of the attacking players last time out, has tried to change things around a little bit. A big block there in the midfield, maybe trying to combat the big block of DMCs that Midlothian are no doubt going to put out. Well, we'll see that in a second, but they're certainly going by recent formations. That's what they would normally put out, those 4 or 5 across the DMC line there. And he's obviously got Cole, Zidane, Elmander, Seedorf, and Mills putting pressure on those guys. Will Librapoulos score? Will Simone Inzaghi score? Remains to be seen. They're obviously good players in their own right. Can they do it at this level? We'll have to wait and see. Montero and Chris at the back should give them a good amount of defensive coverage. But I believe Midlothian manager Ian Campbell said that they are going to go for it tonight, and was Swindon they were going to make Swindon pay for something or take revenge in terms of shots on target. I can't remember the exact phrase, but he promised the attacking football, and it looks as if it could be on the cards here with a completely different formation than we normally see from Midlothian. We've got Vieri and Menpensa up front. We've got Back and Jok Petkovic. Fucking hell. We've got Jok Petkovic right behind them. Alex in central midfield. Gattuso's back, so it's just Steven Gerrard that's injured, but he's obviously spread them out quite a lot here. That's going to be interesting to see if he can get the ball to those front 4, or if that big flat 3 pack in the Swindon Devils midfield are going to somehow scupper his opportunities to pass the ball forward through that. Obviously very, very strong front 4, and all of them are pretty much on form. So if they get going, it could be a long night for Swindon Devils and their fans. But a strong midfield and a strong defensive performance from Montero, Chris, from Marc-Vivien Foe could also spell trouble for Midlothian. But it looks as if they could definitely get a goal or 2 tonight, or at least a number of shots on target, which they failed to do against Bolton. Midlothian obviously still chasing Churchtown, still chasing Bolton, hoping for that second spot, which is pretty crucial in terms of the playoffs. And Swindon Devils still looking just to pick up as many points towards the end of the season as humanly possible. They've only scored 5 at home all season, so it'll be interesting to see if they can do better or add to that tally tonight. A good start for them. Seedorf, Librapoulos, a couple of chances for those guys. Archie back, Petkovic firing back for Midlothian. 15 minutes in, plenty of chances, but no goals so far for either side. Really a bunch of chances created at both ends, and it's Zidane who breaks a deadlock. He has had a lot of hate thrown at him this season, but he's the one who put Swindon Devils in front with the goal in 23 minutes. I'm not entirely sure if there was an assist for it, but we'll have a look at halftime and see how that came about. Unexpected, but nonetheless impressive to see Swindon Devils take the lead against the top 3 side like Midlothian. Let's have a look at the stats for halftime. Both teams have managed to get 3 shots on target, no corners for either side for either side, which is unusual. Apart from that, not a huge amount happening. Good pass completion, but Swindon Devils really dominant in the air. Probably Chris and Montero being the guys behind that, but we'll have a look once we look at the individual player stats. Most of the possession obviously for Midlothian. They are on paper the stronger side, but they have just failed to actually get any of those shots on target. That's going to be a bit of a worry for the manager. Well, we'll see what happens in the second half. Obviously, if they start converting some of all those shots, then it could still be a long night for Swindon, but so far so good. Let's have a look in terms of performances. Let's have a look and see how the goal came about, as we've done for the other games. Marc-Vivien Foe lifted the ball towards Zidane in the area. A powerful header from the Australian Frenchman. And yeah, Swindon Devils 1-0 up. Strong performance from them. Richard Wright good in goal. Danny Mills doing very well on the right hand side. Ashley Cole a little bit disappointing out on the left. He's up against Dulage, obviously, who's been a very, very strong player from Midlothian this season. Chris and Montero, they aren't really the ones doing a lot of the work in the air, but they are doing a bunch of tackling. Paulo Montero I mean, a brilliant signing, and I think Chris will be as well for Swindon Devils for the foreseeable future. Very, very strong players, and so important in a league where two central defenders is kind of like the meta that everyone goes with at the moment. It's so important that you have like really proper quality in there, and obviously Pablo Montero, and is a proven player, and Chris has come in and done a pretty good job in the couple of games that he's played so far. I think apart from obviously getting sent off in one of them, but apart from that, he's been decent. Seedorf is in there as well, doing okay. Simone Inzaghi, Liverpoolos, Elmander. I mean, they're in there and they're not doing badly. That's probably the most important part to take away from Swindon and their first half performance. In terms of Midlothian, it's okay. Ish, Alex and Jok Petkovic not really at the races in terms of their performances. They're getting sixes, not winning their headers, not being very active in the tackles. And Alex with 4 shots, only one on target. Archie back 4 and 2. Archie back with 4 and 1, and no shots for either striker. Pablo Montero and Chris completely shutting them down. I mean, there's still lots of opportunities and lots to play for in the second half, but they need to bring the quality rather than the quantity. Midlothian. We'll see how that goes as we kick off the second half. No Boyd McGregor in charge of this one either. It's Mark Shield. I don't know where he's from, but doesn't sound particularly Scottish or biased based on his name anyway. Oof, Roberto Carlos picks up a yellow card there. I mean, they are still creating chances, Midlothian, but Swindon are holding firm so far. Defenders are doing well, completely preventing anything from Vieira and Mpensa. That could obviously have jinxed it there for Swindon Devils, but it does look as if they're in relative control. 4 minutes of added time. Can they hold on to the Swindon Devils? They can, and Liberopoulos with his first goal of the season. A famous victory for the Swindon Devils as they turned the tables on Midlothian, who promised an onslaught of chances, and Swindon would definitely be in for a rough night. I mean, at the end of the day, it was Swindon Devils who put the sword to Midlothian in the second half. Yeah, these are going to be a couple of post-match interviews that or press conferences or videos that I will definitely be looking forward to. I don't want to see anyone do badly in the Super League. I don't want to see anyone lose, but I do like a Devils win because I know how much it pleases Fifey, and especially with that performance, very, very, very strong. The three-man midfield definitely working. Whether the guys played as well as they perhaps could have. Elmander, Seedorf getting a 7, Zidane sneaking up to an 8. A very good performance by his standards of what he's been doing for Swindon Devils so far. Pablo Montero, though, man of the match, completely annihilating the opposition strikers alongside Chris. 10 and 9 for them. The men of the match for Swindon Devils, shutting down anything that Midlothian tried to throw at them. Richard Wright doing well as well. Yeah, it's a very, very strong performance and an impressive victory for the Swindon Devils. Let's see how the second goal came about, obviously. Yeah, Liberopoulos with a header given pushed it away, and Liberopoulos picked up the loose ball and struck the ball with fury. Surely sealed the victory for Swindon Devils. There. So yeah, great performance and a good performance by the players, and a tactical formation or a tactical change that really worked for Devils, pulling that AMC back up against the one midfielder. You coming in with 3. Yeah, credit where it's due. Dominated the second half completely. Midlothian, on the other hand, yeah, what can I say about it? I mean, Alex and Archie back didn't even have a shot in the second half. Distinct lack of key passes. I think they had the same problem in the last game. I think there was very, very few key passes in that one. I don't know if they've just been told to shoot from anywhere rather than pass the ball. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe a return to a tactic that worked earlier in the season. I don't know. I'm not the expert. There's obviously a bunch of very good tackling going on by the defensive players. There's a lot of good quality in the side here. Steven Gerrard can't be the be-all, end-all of this. It's a disappointing performance from them. Disappointing individual performances from Christian Vieri and Emil Mpensa. Petkovic to some extent as well, getting a 7 and back as well. Alex, maybe not so disappointing considering he did have 3 shots on target. Gattuso, yeah, I mean, could you expect more from the wingers as well? They are up against Danny Mills and Ashley Cole. I mean, Danny Mills not the best player, and Ashley Cole a much better left back than a left wing back. Could they have maybe done something there, or is it just down to the strikers not being good enough when the crosses came in? I'll leave that for Ian and Neil, his glamorous assistant, to chew on that one. But yeah, famous victory for Swindon Devils, and a night certainly that that 5-year will remember, I am sure. Right, we've just got 2 games left this evening. First, we have the league leaders Churchtown. They are at home to Chudley Cannons, and let's see if we have all the tactical instructions and everything set up correct here. I do believe so. Sylvester and Tudor in at the back for Churchtown. We have oh, that's definitely not that's definitely not right. I can see that straight away. That's the advantage of having changes that you can make in the actual game. That when when you do that, I will double check it. Sorochinsky, Welsh, Ferguson, yeah, the rest are in the correct position. It was just those 2 that have been swapped about. Anyway, all good. Damien Duff on the right hand side, Welsh on the left, Sorochinsky in the middle, and then we've got a start for Yusuf Hersey. We've not seen too much of him. We've got Olista Debi in there as well, Romeo, obviously Emerson dropped again, Ruud van Nistelrooy still missing through injury, and Robin coming in there as well. Tough game for them last time out. They had that 1-1 draw with Churchtown. They would have perhaps preferred to pick up all 3, and they've got the chance to do that now at home to Chudley Cannons. For Chudley, I think Amoroso in is perhaps one of the few changes, if not the only change for the Cannon side this evening. Very, very good performance from them last time out. They completely shut down Hooligans and obviously ran out 2-0 winners in that game. Impressive young guys, Lee Chun-so, Shax, Bouma, Estebarrios in there as well. There was the goal, the 2 marks dominated, if you remember. Van Bommel and Mark Kerr did very well in that game. And again, Andre with another good goalkeeping performance. We've kind of lost the narrative around Churchtown scoring 3 goals a game, because they haven't recently. That hasn't been the case. They're on 19 games and I believe 51 goals perhaps, so that kind of ratio's dropped a little bit, but still a formidable force at home. They have got 29 goals in 10 at home, so that still rings true, the 3 goal a game from a home game perspective. We'll see what they can deliver tonight. We've got Churchtown against Chudley Cannons. A fairly quiet start, a couple of good chances there for Chudley Cannons. Managed, just got them working well. You never know against Churchtown. They could score from anywhere at any time. But it's Carlos Jacques, one of the recent signings for Chudley Cannons, that gets his first goal of the night. And Liverani with a goal. And someone makes it 3. I didn't even see who it was. It's Lee Chun-so. It's those 2 attacking midfielders again. The 2 signings that he's brought in recently has really turned things around for the Cannons. Hugely disappointing for Churchtown to be 3-0 down at home against a team that's below the lines, that's outside of the playoffs. This is turning out to be a night where Bolton could take advantage in El Boltico in the last game of the evening with both Churchtown and Midlothian looking as if they're gonna drop points here tonight. Churchtown 1 shot. Whoa, it's very, very unusual to see this performance from Churchtown. It's not completely unusual to see them not scoring, but to create so little, very, very, very unusual. And I can't say anything other than it's some kind of like tactical masterpiece, or genius, or masterstroke, or whatever word I'm looking for here for Chudley to do the thing he did with the 2 marks. We'll see if it is their performances that are making the foundation for this. Where is Van Bommel? Van Bommel's only getting a 7. I was praising it, and it turns out it has very little impact. Fair enough. It's Carlos Jacques with actually a 10 at half time. Who is this kid? Where did he come from? And how the hell is he playing so well? Flair and technique, obviously very good. Great off the ball as well. But apart from that, it's difficult to see where he gets it from. Lee Chun-so, we've already seen him prove his worth in the first couple of games. This is really turning things around for Chudley Cannons. Continue to pile on the pressure here. They are up on 28 points. They're equal with Astor. If Palmerthinaikos lose, they are 1 point away from the playoffs. If this, as it stands, with this 3-0 victory. Liverani getting a goal as well. Let's have a look at the goals. We've done that for the other game, so let's do it for this one. A parry by Khan. Jack picks up the loose ball. Great chance. He scores. Mark Kerr crossed into the ball. Liverani found himself with plenty of room, and Shaq laid the bail off. Lee Chun-so smashed it into the top corner. Or in low, not the top corner. Smashed it in low. 7 shots, 3 goals, not too bad. Oliver Kahn picks up a 5. Soroczynski only has 6. Welsh just 6. Silvestre and Tudor getting 8. So it's somewhere else that they're being overplayed. Olistadiba not doing anything and attacking. It's just not there for. It's just not there for Churchtown tonight. If they're just having a bad evening, unfortunately for them. Even Mike Duff, who's been so impressive, not really delivering. And Chudley, as we spoke about, brilliant performance from them. Managers finally got the tactic down. If they get with this form, if they get into the playoffs, they are one of the sides that could do this. Obviously, they have got a couple of tricky games now, but if they get through these, it'll be a brave side that'll say they fancy them in the playoffs, the way that they've been playing against Churchtown, who are still the league leaders despite not having the most fantastic run recently. They are still obviously 3 points ahead of their nearest rivals, but we'll see. We'll see if they can find a way back in the second half. Anyway, it was a little bit of a shock 10 minutes for Chudley there. And as is often the case in Champ, then the second half can be a bit of a damp squid if you've got a bunch of goals in the first half. 20 minutes to go, not a lot has happened so far. A couple of chances for either side. Chudley obviously quite comfortable with the 3-0 lead. It's Lee Chun-so that gets a 4th. Very impressive performance from Chudley Cannons tonight. Oliver Kahn not really being himself tonight, I think. Not sure he has any business letting in 5 goals. And is it Lee Chun-so again? Oh, Romeo finally pulls one back. Lee Chun-so with a hat trick. What an inspired signing from Chudley Cannon. 7 goals in 7 games. He costs 250,000 from Ulsan. I mean, and his manager is really getting absolutely the most out of him. How he was not picked up on some of these, I have no idea. Estebaria with the cross, obviously he did so well for Churchtown on that right hand side, just couldn't settle at the club. He finds Lee Chun-so, who gets the goal. What happened in the last couple of minutes overtime? Estebaria again with the cross to Lee Chun-so, who scored, and then Romeo just picks up a loose ball and gets a consolation there. 2 goals from Estebaria. Kalashak's man of the match with an assist and a goal. Lee Chun-so with 3 goals, somehow not picking up a man of the match award, but there we go. And Liverani with the goal that he scored in the first half. An absolutely incredible performance from Chudley Cannons, away to the league leaders, 5-1 victory, and a great night for Lee Chun-so, for Kalashak, the new signings, for the manager. He's really making the team his own, the way that he's setting them up and the way that he's getting the most out of those guys. So yeah, they'll be singing on the streets of some Leeds suburb tonight with that result. Churchtown, on the other hand, yeah, that's disappointing. That's very disappointing in terms of the goalkeeping performance. Let's see. Yeah, I mean 9 shots and concedes 5. That's Oliver Kahn. That's not a proud evening for you, unfortunately. And he has had a couple of poor ones, but then Chilavert and Hans-Jörg Butt have not been exactly impressive replacements when they've been in. Chilavert, not good for him either. Struggling a little bit to create a solid defensive unit. They have conceded obviously 33 goals this season, so they're no strangers to conceding goals, but they definitely not expected 5. I'm absolutely certain of it. Barry Ferguson attempting 10 tackles, not winning a single one. Silvestre doing 19 and winning 13. Yeah, there's something to be worked on for the manager here. They obviously have that enormous. I say enormous. They have a big buffer in terms of the playoff spots, and they're obviously on 39 points. They are pretty much guaranteed that playoff place, but they're going to have to do a little bit better in some of their next games. Churchtowns. I mean, a 5-1 victory is not something that's going to do wonders for the morale. Anyway, last game of the evening coming up. We have Bolton Phoenix against Palmerthinaikos. Bolton Phoenix without Juan Sebastian Veron, who I believe is suspended for this one. Harry Kuehl Harry Kuehl drops down to central midfield. Raul moves to the left, and Figo comes in on the right-hand side. And obviously, apart from that, unchanged. Very strongly performing Bolton Phoenix side at the moment. Not conceding many goals, almost sort of Valen-esque in the way they go about it this season. Scoring relatively good amount of goals, I think on 39, 40, something like that, and having only conceded 15. A very strong proposition in terms of getting somewhere in the league this season, of making that climb towards the top. I mean, obviously with Churchtown having dropped points tonight, Bolton can go level with points with them on 39 with a victory this evening in El Boltico. But as it is with local derbies, everything can happen. We have got Palmerthinaikos. We have got a change to the lineup. We have got Henri and Trezeguet both playing. Nedved behind them. Jagata, Salihamidzic, Riquelme. We've got Bott and Ambrosini. Then we've got Udese and perhaps a little bit surprising Eddie Pope. But Cannavaro is suspended this evening, and that's obviously going to be a bit of an issue. But Udese obviously previously off Bolton Phoenix, perhaps hoping he can go in and help Eddie Pope out a little bit in terms of defensive guidance and leadership. They are only up against one striker in Montella, so it is possible. It is possible that the two men can keep him down. But it'll be very interesting to see how this goes with the two strikers, the one AMC. It's not a formation that we see that often. It's more of a 2-6-2 than a 2-7-1, and yeah, maybe this will work out for Palmerthinaikos. There's obviously not only a lot of pride at stake, also three very, very important points for Palmerthinaikos, especially considering that Chudley Cannons won tonight. So they now have two teams hot on their heels, Astra Athletic and Chudley Cannons, currently only 1 point behind, unless Palmerthinaikos can pick up all three tonight and open up that gap a little bit again. But there's a shower and 18 degrees. Jeremy Oliphant is in charge at the Tony Knowles Suite here in Brisbane, Bolton, and yeah, let's kick this one off and see what happens in this clash of Lancashire. Is it in Lancashire? Either way, it's Raoul who opens the scoring for Bolton Phoenix, but Thierry Henry pulls one straight back for Palmerthinaikos, obviously previously of Bolton Phoenix, Thierry Henry, I believe. Two fingers up to his old manager, no doubt. Yeah, very even in terms of chances. I think going to either side. It's obviously difficult to gauge. It does seem as if Palmerthinaikos had a little bit of the upper hand there in the middle of the half. Bolton Phoenix coming back with a couple of chances themselves here towards the end. Figo, Sinoni, but then it's back to the other end. And now it's back up to the previous end again. Yellow card. That was the last action just before the end of half time. Yeah, I mean, for once I got it right. A very even first half, 6 shots for both sides, 4 on target. Let's see how the goals came about. Direct free kick from Raoul. We don't see that very often, but obviously a fabulous strike, and they put Bolton into the league. Didn't last long though. I mean, it wasn't an action-packed first 20 minutes, but Nedved had a chance that Douglas could only parry, and Thierry Henry struck the ball with fury. Not sure that was entirely necessary, but anyway, that did give them the lead. That did give them the equaliser. And then for the rest of the half, it was sort of fairly straightforward in terms of one for you, one for me, one for you, one for me. And Butt went down for a trip for Stam picking up a yellow. Solid-ish performance by some players and a little bit disappointing from the wingers. So obviously Sinoni and Dede. Disappointing for Dede on his wing. I think Sambratis on the other wing, isn't he? Yeah, Sambratis the other winger. Still a little bit disappointing for Sambratis as well, only getting a 7. No key passes for either of them. They've been a key sort of part of Bolton's success previously. Obviously a little bit more coming through the middle now, but with Veron out, Harry Kewell trying to step up. He's doing his best. He has 2 shots on target. He gets an 8. Montella's also putting in a strong performance, but Figo and Raoul, although Raoul got the goal, they're just a little bit below what we'd seen previously in the season in terms of performance. Maybe the nerves of the big days getting to them a little bit. Oliver Dacour, very, very important player, obviously moved in the other direction from Palmerthinaikos and putting in a strong performance tonight. Over at the Palmerthinaikos side, we've got Thierry Henry. He got the goal. He's the one getting an 8. Trezeguet is only on a 6. Not really as effective up front. It's Jorgatos who's doing well out on that left-hand side, getting a couple of key passes in. Pavel Nedved with a key pass for him as well. Pope and Udese. I mean, Udese's not doing anything. It's Pope doing all the tackling, keeping Montella in check, obviously. Nicky Butt is already on a yellow. Not a great pass completion for Ambrosini there in a very important role, and perhaps that's why he's down with a 6. Riquelme also on a 6. Again, not that many passes for him, but it's been a bit of a scrappy affair this first half. Perhaps things are about to change in the second half. Let's have a look at the distribution here. Yeah, I mean, a lot of possession for Bolton Phoenix, obviously, but not really done a huge amount with it compared to Palmerthinaikos, who've had equal amounts of success with less possession. Let's have a look at the second half and see if either side can find a winner, or if it's going to be a stalemate in Lancashire tonight. Great start from Harry Kewell. He had such a good first half. A great start to the second half from him. Very, very strong performance. He's playing well in terms of in place of Verong, obviously, and that's clearly what Ryan was hoping for as well. Palmerthinaikos not really had as much in terms of chances in the second half. Um, Bolton just making the most of it. Can they have something right at the end? Create something here? Nope. A bit of a boring second half, to be completely honest. Again, completely even in terms of play, of possession. A little bit better completion rate and slightly better tackles for Bolton. Let's see how the goal came around for them. It was Kewell, pretty much a solo goal, I think. Oh my goodness, Kewell ran up against a challenge. Kewell ran past Nicky Butt, ran past Riquelme, ran past Ambrosini. Yeah, beats 3 men and scores a goal. Unassisted, very well. But he's still not man of the match. How is that happening? Anyway, strong performance from Bolton Phoenix. All the players are doing grand old job for Ryan, and yeah, he's pushing towards the top of the table. Really got his guys playing for him now. Sambrata, yeah, maybe a 7. Figo, if Veron comes back, Figo's definitely going out after that performance. A 7 and a yellow card. Nothing to write home about. Sinoni, not the best, but he's a solid choice next to the core in that midfield role there. Overall, not much to say about that. Apart from that, again, it's a very strong performance. Professional, some would maybe call it, without making it sound boring, similar to the performance away to Midlothian last week. They get the job done. Bolton Phoenix, they are very strong at the moment. They found the form at the right point in the season. They're pushing towards the top 2, and obviously that gives them a good run in the playoffs if they can stay there. A little bit of a shame for the teams below them, obviously, with Midlothian not picking up a bunch of points tonight. Valen the same, Ardsley the same, Palmerthinaikos only with 1. So pretty half decent evening for the bottom half. I mean, especially Chudley, they're going to be the big winners tonight, and obviously Bolton and Georgetown, they are now 4 points clear of the nearest competitors, Midlothian. Let's have a look at Palmerthinaikos stats before we close this one out. So Dieter somehow getting a man of the match. I mean, you're obviously going to be happy with your keeper getting a man of the match, but yeah, I'll perhaps hope for a little bit more for some of his players this evening. It is a difficult place to go and get a result against Bolton with the form that they're in, with the players that they have at their disposal. Of course, the reigning champions away is never going to be a particularly easy game, but maybe I think Chris Mack has probably hoped for a little bit more from some of his players, Riquelme, Ambrosini, Trezeguet in particular. Eddie Pope, although proved himself to be a more than adequate replacement for Cannavaro, coming in getting an 8 and not as dominant in the air as Cannavaro has been, but definitely on the ground he was very, very good, yeah, not clearly at fault for any of the goals. Nicky Butt doing a pretty good job there in midfield as well. Ambrosini is not really winning enough tackles, but it's a decent performance from Palmerthinaikos, and no shame in just losing by the single goal, although obviously it being a derby, that's all going to be a little bit of a bitter one to swallow. However, that's how the games finished this evening. BTEC picking up a great win for them away from home. Swindon picking up a win at home. But yeah, the bottom 2 sides, both of them winning. The bottom 3 sides actually with Dragons winning as well. Sloths only getting a draw, and that obviously changes things up a little bit at the bottom. We'll have a look at the table, and Chudley Cannons with that 5-1 away win, so impressive from them. Let's have a look at the top first. We've got Bolton Phoenix level on points with Churchtown, but with a slightly better goal difference, 12-3 and 5, so very, very evenly distributed results. Midlothian, after that performance tonight, they are still on 35. Valen United creep up to 34, Ardsley on 33, Palmerthinaikos remain on 29, which is a little bit concerning from them, considering that we've got both Astor Athletic and Chudley Cannons on 28 now, so really something to play for in terms of those playoff spaces. And Ardsley not safe at all, but they obviously haven't picked up that 1 point tonight. They are perhaps a little bit more confident that things are moving in the right direction. We're looking below the line. We have Astor Athletic, who obviously lost after having a man sent off. That's going to be disappointing from them, because a victory here would have put them into the playoff spots. Chudley Cannons, great night for Scott. Nothing else to say there. 5-1 victory. Hooligans, yeah, I mean, it's not bad for them. It's just not enough. Yeah, it's just not enough in terms of getting into the playoffs. Dragons, is this when Dragons start their run? Is this there's only 5 points away? Go on a run, Dragons, please. My prediction from last year didn't come true. Let's see if it comes through this year. Obviously, a very very strong performance from them tonight. 4-2 winners. Um, Sloths, yeah, with the Portuguese wonder kid Joao Paiva coming in and scoring 2 goals. Decent night for them. Hornets, yeah, that was a surprise. 4 goals again, but unfortunately for them, still for the away side. Although this time they were the home side, so that's a sad sight to see. BTEC, very very happy evening for them. 2 goals away from home, 3 points. That's the only kind of fly in the ointment for Swindon Devils, is that the teams above them did relatively well, so the gap remains 7 points. But nonetheless, I don't think anything can really dampen Mr. Fifey's spirits tonight after that victory for the Swindon Devils. Let's have a look at the fixtures coming up. Next week we've got Ardsley at home to Hooligans. So yeah, must win for Ardsley, I guess. Hooligans. Let's see what it is in terms of the injury. Salas obviously came in. They've been a little bit unstable in terms of getting results, but we'll see. And Ardsley definitely in with a chance in this one. Astra at home to Bolton Phoenix, so it's not going to get any easier for Astra, Alf and the boys, as they continue their quest for the playoffs. Bolton on top form at the moment. Battle of two teams that had a good night. BTEC at home to Chudley. Can Chudley bring another impressive away performance and put 5 past BTEC, or will BTEC take Julius Agahawa's strong form and Danielson's and transplant it to the rest of the team and put in a dominant performance against Chudley? Remains to be seen, but someone will be happy about that, and that's Palmerthinaikos, because tricky games for Chudley and for Astor means that they have a chance against Swindon, who did have a good performance tonight though, but Palmerthinaikos has got that chance to open up a bit of a gap again. Dragons meet Sloths in 10th versus 11th. Both teams on kind of decent form at the moment. Midlothian with a big chance now. Hoddesdon Hornets having just conceded 4. Midlothian, take a leaf out of Swindon's book and see if you can score Fortin against Hoddesdon Hornets. You're going to need goals. Otherwise, Bolton and Churchtown could be running away with it. Having said that though, tricky trip for Churchtown away to Valiant United. Yeah, plenty of possible talking points, pitfalls, slip-ups, interesting results, upsets. Lots to look forward to for Sunday's fixtures. Packs will be out shortly, obviously to be returned as soon as possible as well, in order for us to set up the weekend's fixture so we can get that show recorded. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a pleasure to bring you the action of these games, and yeah, good luck for the rest of the season, and we'll see how the trial with these two weekly rounds, how that pans out in the coming weeks. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching as always, and enjoy your evening.